This is Brian Diaz, and this is the 10 most common credit repair mistakes. All right, so the first one, this comes off of my own personal experience with speaking with clients and realizing all the mistakes that they were making along the way that I had to fix. So I figure if I can at least post some of these out there, maybe I can stop you from making those mistakes before you contact me. First one is closing old accounts. One of the major formulas, pieces of the formula of how your FICO score is calculated, has to do with your debt ratio. Your debt ratio has nothing to do with income. Income has nothing to do with your credit score. It's actually the amount of credit that you're using divided by the amount of credit extended to you. Okay? So if you have 5 open credit card accounts, 3 of them are maxed out, the other 2 are open. What happens is they add up all the outstanding balances, and they take that and they divide that by all the outstanding limits. So if overall you're at 50%, then your debt ratio is at 50%. What happens is when you close an old account, let's say you didn't like the history on it, it's got a $3,000 balance left on it, and you had a late payment, and they wouldn't even talk to you. You tried to get it verified, and they bounced you around from person to person on the phone. You got angry, said, you know what, I don't need you. I'm going to close this account. What ends up happening now is that balance still goes towards the outstanding balances. However, the limit, the available credit limit, no longer applies to the ratio. So you send your debt ratio, up through the roof, and it ends up driving your score down. Depending on the debt ratio and all the other factors involved, it could have a drastic effect on your credit score, drive it into the ground. Next one is using templated forms. On the internet, you can find 101 books on how to fix your own credit. Even the FTC, despite the fact that they say that only time can heal a credit report, they have step-by-step instructions on how to dispute inaccurate information on your credit report. The problem with that is everyone's using the same letters. Now, the credit bureaus, you have to keep in mind that they're charging the lenders. Every time you make a dispute, they're charging the lenders in order to have them verify that information. Not that they're investigating it like they should, but it's another story. They are charging them for every dispute that they receive. Okay, so the lenders are only going to take so much gruff. At a certain point, they're going to draw a line in the dirt, and they're going to refuse to pay for these disputes anymore. So the credit bureaus start to protect them, and what happens is when they receive a dispute, they scan it into a computer, send it off to the Philippines, Jamaica, whatever the case may be. The same machine that reads that dispute now, if it receives the same dispute again, or another templated dispute, because it's a computer obviously, so it's comparing it against all the other letters they've received from you and from everyone else. If it looks like it's following some type of trend, like it's a template, it's going to kick it back. It kicks it back, and you're just going to get a letter that says that this dispute is frivolous, we've already verified this information, we're not even going to pay attention to you. So what that has basically done is not only did you waste a dispute and waste 42 cents, or if you did it the right way and sent it certified mail, you wasted $3, but now the credit bureaus are aware of the fact that you're not happy with your credit, and a little red flag goes up. So every time you try to make an attempt to address something on your credit report now and for several months in the future, you're going to have an issue. Not only that, I'd also like to bring your attention to the disputing your inaccurate information directly with the credit agencies online. The problem with that is there's only a limited number of disputes you can make. And if what's happening with your credit report isn't one of the optional disputes that are listed on the website, then you're out of luck. There's no other button where you put in your whole explanation. It only holds so many characters. So if you don't fall into one of those categories, you're out of luck. That, and besides the fact that if this were to escalate, you were to go to court over this, you wouldn't be able to prove that the bureaus didn't get back to you in the 30-day period as allotted or stipulated in the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You really have no proof, you have no documentation. With a certified letter, registered receipt return, you have documented information. Another common mistake, reviving the statute of limitations. Statute of limitations is a period of time in which a lender can sue you for a debt. Every state is different. They're available on my website as far as the statute of limitations is concerned, what your state statute is. However, what happens very often is you'll get a collection agency calling you on the phone, harassing you, trying to get you to pay on a debt that's just about to go outside the statute of limitations. In another few months, they're not going to be able to collect on it anyway or sue you over it, so they have no position to stand on, no leverage. So they talk you into making a payment, any payment. Because the statute of limitation only applies from the date of the first funding letter sent, the first time they tried to collect, the very first creditor that you owed the money to, the first funding letter, or the very last payment that you made. So if you just agree to make them a dollar payment just to get the guy off your back, you just revise the statute of limitations. So if the statute of limitations in your state is 4 years, well, now you have another 4 years to go, and they can still sue you for the next 4 years. So a very common mistake is people get bullied into making a payment, a small payment, and the collection agency gets to keep your debt alive. Next one is not using certified mail. This goes back to the using templated forms I briefly covered. you want a paper trail. You need to be able to prove each step that you took, and you have to take these steps in the proper order. When you don't use certified mail, basically you have no leg to stand on. If they don't get back to you in a period of time as allowed by law, there's really nothing you can do about it. You need to be able to document and prove that you took the proper procedures. In the court of law, it doesn't matter what you know, it's what you can prove. Certified mail is the first step in proving. Not disputing in the proper order relates to not using certified mail. When you dispute, there is a process that you have to follow. Okay, you can't just go right after the collection agency or directly after the lender and start threatening litigation. The proper step is you have to dispute with the credit bureaus first. So now if you ever were to go to court and you went after the lender directly and you had you tried to sue them over something, some violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the first thing they'd ask is, did you dispute with the credit bureau first? If so, prove it. Do you have the certified letter, and did you do it first? Because if you didn't, they're going to throw it out of court anyway. Number 6 is giving up too soon. As a credit repair company, our biggest problem is getting clients to send in their updates. And we take drastic measures to remind them. We send them pictures of what the envelope's going to look like. We send them letter reminders. Hey, you're going to be receiving an update any day now. Please, let us know when you do. We send them emails. We call them. We do whatever we have to do to remind them to send in their information. Because we're not after bottom line. We're after results. Bottom line for us is if we show someone results, we get a testimonial, and we get a lot of referral business. That alone, I mean, since we're taking the steps for them, we're having problems just getting them to send in the updates. You can only imagine how difficult it must be for the average person who's just trying to dispute their credit themselves to not only follow up on the credit repair itself, but what to do when the stuff comes back, and what's the second letter they should send in, what steps do they take next, what rights do they have? There's so many questions that they don't have that they just give up. Not validating. Big issue that we have with a lot of people that when they first call in is they'll have usually paid off a number of collections just prior to having spoken with us. And it's been my experience that 90% of the time, collection agencies, they're buying debt in bulk. They don't have all the paperwork that goes along with the collections that they're calling you for. In which case, they don't have a valid debt to collect against you. So before paying off any debt, you should always make sure that it's a valid debt. I mean, they should have copies of the contracts that you signed. They should have the payment history. They should have a copy of the license to do business in your state, and a plethora of other documents you can request from them. By law, if they're going to collect on a debt from you, they have to provide that information, especially in that first 30-day window. Not keeping copies, number 8. As I said, it's not what you know; it's what you can prove in the court of law. A huge problem that a lot of people have is that they'll pay a collection, for instance, and not save a copy of the canceled check. They'll have a letter that says that that this item was supposed to be removed from their credit report. They never follow up on it. 3 months later, it's still showing up on their credit report. They can't find the letter where the creditor admits that is reporting erroneously. So if they go through the whole process again, you have to keep copies of everything: the certified mail receipts, everything. Keep copies of everything. Another common problem is validating negative information. According to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, a creditor or collection agency cannot report anything that they cannot verify to be accurate. All right, so when you are challenging something on your credit, and here's a little tip: if you're challenging anything on your credit, you be as specific as possible. Because if they can't verify that one portion, there's a good chance that they're just going to remove it all because they don't have the paperwork. So when you say, hey, I know I was late this day, but not this day, you're just admitting guilt, and you're making it harder on yourself. I mean, the law is playing in your favor on this particular one, and I'm not saying to go out and dispute accurate information. What I'm simply saying is don't validate the other information that you're not disputing. What's the point? Like I said, they're keeping scanned copies of all this stuff on servers, so you just shooting yourself in the foot makes no sense. And the last one is not hiring a professional. So you could avoid all this. You could avoid this very simply one of two ways. If you're determined to do it yourself, we have an online system. It takes you step by step through the entire credit repair process. You actually have access to forums where you can speak with other members about the same challenges that you're having. We have teleseminars and webinars where you can learn from actual case studies. So if you have to do it yourself and you want to learn, and we encourage you to, even if we're handling the credit repair for you, we still would like to educate you so that you can take care of yourself if you fall into this situation again. And then if you just need someone to take care of it for you, hire a professional. Hire someone who knows what they're doing, and look into my step-by-step on how to hire the right credit repair service. This is Brian at Score More Credit.